y'all. Welcome back to the Skookum Report. I got a great Bigfoot encounter story for you today. This one comes from Humboldt County, California. There's a lot of activity out there. It happened in the spring of 2001, and it was a group of guys doing some blast calls, and they were trying to get some evidence of the Bigfoot howls on tape and recorded. And he gives three. There were four gentlemen involved, and he only gives one of the guys' names, and I'm just going to read it the way he wrote it because I assume he wanted it that way. Now, he says, during the weekend of May 26th and 27th, I was conducting a sound survey project with three other people near the town of Johnson and the Klamath River. This area we were in had a sighting the year before in the month of July. The place where we decided to set up was a recent clear cut that ran along the hillside. It was about 1,000 feet wide and about 1,200 feet long, and on the edges were fir and oak trees that developed a thick cover. Running the width and centered in the clear cut was a dirt road that the local people used and loggers, and they all used it on a daily basis. It also provided us with a place to park, and we set up our sound equipment, and it also became base for our team. From our base, looking down into the valley about 2 miles, we could see the town of Johnson. And from the point we were at, we were about 1,500 feet above the river and the town. Just prior to dusk, I had two members climb to the top of the clear cut, about 150 feet in elevation and about 300 feet away from the base. I did this so if anything came closer to our base camp, they would have the best field of vision. And with their night vision devices, they would be able to determine what it was. We also had two-way portable radios, one for the base and one for the upper lookout. Manny and myself continued to set up the equipment and the sound gear, and we waited until nightfall. Now, later on that evening, I was scheduled to participate in a 10 p.m. live broadcast of the show Sightings with Jeff Rentz. I was ensuring that my bag cell phone was working properly, and all the equipment checked out other than the phone, which had some static in the line. And at 9:40, we started to blast some calls. The sound traveled very well, and it seemed to echo forever. The location we were at easily helped the sound to travel well over 5 miles from valley to ridgetop and saddle. It covered a very large area. We were very happy with the sound, and we continued to blast more calls a few more times before the sightings show started. Now, it was almost 10 p.m. and my bag phone rang, and it was the sightings show. The show went fine for the first few minutes, but the static was getting horrendous, even cutting Jeff Rentz off completely a couple times. About 10 minutes into the show, Jeff asked me to try and find another location where the reception might be a little better. A commercial was playing at the time, so I quickly contacted the upper team, and Manny told them that I was getting ready to move. I started my vehicle, and I drove about 600 feet towards the tree line. I reconnected to the show, and we were back on live, and it was a better connection. Now, I was in this new location less than 15 feet to the tree line, and the visibility wasn't very good. I could only see maybe 5 feet into the trees. I was parked for a few minutes, and I heard what I thought was a bear charging me. Now, I was in a convertible with the windows down, not much protection in anyone's mind. I looked for my revolver, but it wasn't there, and I realized I had forgotten it back at base with Manny, and when I was in a hurry to get back into this better location for the show. Now, I sat there for a second, and again I heard this thing charge the wood line, and it sounded like it was a few feet away from me. This time I started my car and got on the radio and told the upper team that I was moving out because something was charging me in the bush. Manny didn't have a radio as we were together at base camp, and we had to share one for the base and one for the upper team. I asked the upper team, "Do you see anything?" And they replied, "No, we don't see anything." I decided to wait it out for just a couple more minutes, as this thing could expose itself, and I just realized that my camera was also with Manny, so it's not like I could get any pictures, though. The show continued on, and I would hear footfalls breaking branches and at least one grunt or growl. I kept asking the upper team if they could see anything, and they kept saying no. I at least had a flashlight, but I didn't want to use it in fear that I would scare whatever it was off. Obviously, I was becoming very concerned for my safety, though, not knowing what it was and thinking that it possibly could be a bear. But I remained there on a chance I might be able to see a Bigfoot or at least see something. And I did have my car, and it was running, so I heard the charging again. And finally, a crackle in the radio. "John, it's looking right at you. Can't you see it? It's about 25 feet away. That blank blank is huge." My heart started pounding fast. And trying to carry on with this live program without sounding distraction, that was even almost impossible. The other upper team member confirmed what they were looking at, and it was something that they estimated to be at least 8 feet tall, with shoulders that were about 4 feet across. And as I sat in my car, cell phone to one ear and the other to the forest, I could hear it charge again. And that's when they would say, "It went back into the trees." Now this happened several times. This sighting went on for several minutes, with the Squatch looking at me by moving its body from side to side and trying to get a better look through the trees and the brush. It was observed moving its arms in a very quick motion as if to possibly be signaling to others. This whole incident, from the first charge heard to the last tree branch breaking, it lasted about 30 minutes in total. It was by far one of the most intense moments in my life. That next day, we did search the area and found the soil was definitely disturbed where this Squatch was spotted, but due to the soil condition, it didn't allow for any prints to be cast. And judging from a tree and a stump in the area that we used as to get a good size difference on what was there, it was determined that this thing was at least 8 feet tall, but maybe closer to even 9 feet. From the Sasquatch's point of view, it had several windows to look at me. By moving its body from side to side, it would have a clear view of my entire vehicle and me. He said you can listen to this event by going to sightings.com and clicking on archived shows and look for May 27th, 2001. And I did that, and I wanted to hear some of this live broadcast, but it was, one of the pages was unable to be found, and the other pages didn't have anything going back to that date. Just I saw some stuff from 2010, 2011. But if anybody else wants to try, it's sightings.com, and he said look in the archives, and for May 27th, 2001. And but I couldn't find anything, and I tried a couple different. Tried Safari, and then I tried Chrome, and it just wasn't working. So anyway, that's pretty cool. Blasting calls and then having some bluff charges sounds like to me going on, and it's just a shame he didn't have his camera with him or anything that he could have recorded something with. It's just, man, he had to move that 600 feet, and he didn't have anything with him. He was more worried about the show at the time, which, you know, I don't blame him, but he just didn't have time to think it through. But they did catch it on thermal, and two of the guys at the upper lookout, and they saw it swaying back and forth, staring at him and charging the tree line, and man, that's a sticky situation. But if you or anybody you knows had an encounter or a sighting, shoot me an email at skookumreport@gmail.com. That's skookumreport@gmail.com, and I'll be sure to get it up on the channel for you. Go ahead and subscribe, hit that like button, leave a comment, just say hi. I want to thank y'all for coming back to the Skookum Report, and I think I'm going to get working on another video for possibly tomorrow morning. So thank you so much, guys. Y'all take care and have a great evening. Bye-bye.